Alright, just getting the stream ready. Alright, so here's how this is gonna work. I'm gonna, drag the projects. This isn't necessarily gonna be a ordered tier list. Maybe I will make it a little bit towards the end just to restate my opinions on things. But so far, I've seen basically everything in here. There's been projects I haven't seen. I will say, haven't finished this. I've only seen episode 1. I thought it was alright. And there's only one other one I haven't finished yet. Where is it, though? Oh, maybe X-Men 97 isn't on this list. The only reason I haven't finished that is because I'm trying to finish the original series. Okay, so we're going to be starting off strong. Well, actually, starting off pretty weak. Incredible Hulk. Oh dear. Ed Norton. I'm gonna be nicer to it. I'm gonna put an E tier. Definitely a weak start to the MCU. This is definitely not what got this is not what made the MCU hit the ground running as much as our next one over here, which is Iron Man, which I'm gonna have to put in S tier. It's what started the whole thing. Iron Man is iconic. The theme song from the movie. That was really when we got introduced to Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, and that is iconic. And he would be a staple of the Infinity Saga of the MCU. And this is really what started all of that. It's also kind of just got a banger plot. Sure, Obadiah Stane, Ironmonger villain, yeah, not that good. But, I liked Tony, being attacked by, him being a victim of his own hubris in a way. He kind of had an ego death at the beginning of the movie, and that I think that actually works really well with our protagonist just being a narcissistic genius. He has his ego killed in the beginning of the movie when he sees the weapons he created being used by terrorist organizations, and I just think that's really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna put that over S tier project. Now, Iron Man 2. Okay. Whiplash. I'm of the general opinion that Iron Man 2 is definitely, I wouldn't say it's the worst Iron Man film. I think that goes to 3. I think the Extremis creatures or whatever they were going for in 3 didn't work as well, and with the 2 fake Mandarins in that movie, I am the Mandarin. Adrian Killian, I think was his name, but Ivan Vanko, I think that was Whiplash. That was it was the son of a former partner of Howard Stark, whom he ended up getting deported back to Russia, I believe was the original plot, which is a bit convoluted, for the origin of your villain that you're just going to show. But, hearing him say, "You'll lose," was funny. And the dynamic between Ivan and the bird the parrot was also pretty funny. Let's see. Justin Hammer. Justin Hammer was cartoony. I would say, even more of a cartoon villain than Obadiah Stane was. He was almost a greedy businessman. They just found another greedy businessman to be, I guess, the figurehead villain of the movie, because the real villain is Whiplash. But um, I would I'd give it a C tier. I'd say it's not not horrible, but uh, kind of just meh. Know what I'm saying? Now, Thor, Thor one. This is gonna be a controversial opinion, um, but yeah, I do not like the first Thor movie. I think it takes way too long to set up. I think the villain establishing Loki as the villain just took way too long in the film. Then it becomes this whole thing about Loki trying to kill the frost giants to prove himself to his father. Those I just wasn't there for that plot, man. Like it's boring. Um, uh, I did like that we got to see Hawkeye. That was the first appearance of Hawkeye in Thor one. I thought that was definitely cool. I enjoyed that being there. But this is definitely not an amazing movie, not a horrible movie either. Its sequel is way worse. Um, Captain America: The First Avenger. Oh yeah, oh yeah. God bless America. That is a great movie. Its plot like works from start to finish. You are engaged the entire time, even though they're jumping time periods. I will say, the CGI head on skinny Chris Evans is definitely laughable to this day, but it's not overall that distracting. From the rest of the movie, I think it hits its plot points very well. Definitely one of the good starts for Marvel, definitely. Okay, and let's see, Avengers. But yeah, I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that in front of Captain America: The First Avenger. The first Avengers film, banger, absolute banger. Seeing like a group of heroes come together from phases that early on, like seeing them come into this huge crossover movie was amazing. It was amazing. I can't lie. Uh, that will definitely go down in history as probably one of the most influential movies of our. Uh, I guess it's what influenced modern media. I would say it's one of the most important movies in influencing that, because the MCU really exploded after the first Avengers film. I feel like it's when it got that's when it got its wings. When it yeah, and then it hit the ground running and it didn't stop. And now we're in the same MCU machine that we're in right now in 2025. Yeah, I feel like the first Iron Man movie, you know, definitely responsible, the big key role, player being Iron Man, but Avengers is kind of what locked that shit in. So, yeah, okay. Iron Man 3. I'm going to say only a little bit worse than Iron Man 2. Um, yeah, Iron Man 3, I just thought the Adrian Killian thing with the extremist thing, and then the two fake mandarins, and then I like Trevor Slattery's character, but I really only like his character like when they used him in Shang-Chi, which is also a banger movie, which we'll get to later. But um, quite quite the I would say quite the weaker entry in Iron Man's franchise. Ooh, Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, that's gonna be a little stinker right there. Actually, I won't put it in an F. I'll put it. Uh, uh, I don't know. It's pretty awful. I can't even lie. It's pretty bad. Uh, yeah, Thor: The Dark World. It's not a secret. Malekith sucks as a villain. They were going for this during a time when they were trying to compete with Man of Steel, so they were trying to go with a grim, dark Zack Snyder feel for Thor: Dark World. Didn't pan out very well, but we got the Reality Stone out of the ether, which helped set up the rest of the Infinity Saga. So there was actually a lot of world building with the Dark Elves being primordial to the age of the universe, and I thought that was pretty cool. In Dark World, they really expanded the lore in the Dark World. Um, but the movie is just abysmal dog shit. Like, unfortunately, I think that this was one of the first movies of Phase Two, I believe. It technically takes place right after Avengers, because Loki's being um, being handcuffed and taken to an Asgardian prison. So yeah, I think in the timeline, technically, this is the first movie to take place, or maybe Iron Man 3. Okay, Iron Man 3 and the Dark World. There's definitely dispute over when that takes place in the timeline, but yeah, Malekith, bad villain. Who is who is the villain? The big guy, the big guy. He was like the lower grunt bodyguard of Malekith. He sucks too. He's so forgettable. I don't even remember his name, but yeah. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Okay. 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 Hold on. Yeah. Amazing espionage spy thriller MCU film. Perfect. Right there. On the spot. Ooh. Okay. I'm not one of those. See, I know a lot of people would actually put this in S tier right here, the Winter Soldier. I don't blaze Captain America the Winter Soldier that hard, though. I wouldn't put it in Stan Lee tier, but definitely, definitely, like, top MCU project right there. Perfect project. I'd say it's definitely better than Captain America the First Avenger. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put Captain America First Avenger here. I do think America the Winter Soldier is a step above Captain America the First Avenger, and I would even say Avengers. Um, that really expanded the Shield world building in Winter Soldier when they, you know, when Hydra took over Shield. That shit was fucking awesome, man. Great film right there. Great film. Um, Guardians of the Galaxy first one. Ooh, okay. We're already gonna start being controversial here. Okay, I'm gonna put it here. At the top of B tier. Guardians of the Galaxy overall is a success story. Like, these were Guardians of the Galaxy were. It's not like they pulled like C-lister Iron Man from the comics, made him popular. Like, these were like actual F-listers, bro. Nobody knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, and James Gunn was just able to like elevate them to uh, just A-lister status. Everybody knows Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a huge risk to just pull away from Earth and make an entire like film about Guardians of the Galaxy. Uh, that was a huge risk, but in the end, James Gunn, hey, he's manning DC right now, and he just made Superman. I thought Superman was fucking awesome. I would say now this is definitely a hot take, but I think Fantastic Four is slightly better than Superman. But I love both those films. We'll get to Fantastic Four down there later. Um, but I mean, I'll tell you how much a success Guardians of the Galaxy was. Is that now he's president of DC and doing his own thing. So, good on James Gunn. You know, and we'll get to the other Guardians of the Galaxy films I'll make very clear which one my favorite of the trilogy is when we get to it. Uh, Avengers: Age of Ultron. This film gets way too much hate. Um, like I don't want to put it in C. Okay, I'm gonna put. I'm gonna. There's a lot of them in B right now. I mean, Marvel does make a lot of B and A films. Like, most of their films are good. I'm gonna be honest. Most of them are good. So you're gonna see a lot of them like in these 4 rows right here. That's gonna be like the biggest list right there. The things I would consider bad are very far and few between. That's why it's a powerful franchise. It's probably the most powerful like cinematic universe to ever exist. It's certainly the biggest and I think longest running cinematic universe. Uh, Ant Man, Ant Man. Yeah, the thing is, yeah, I'm probably going to consider Age of Ultron bottom of B anyways. But yeah, Ant Man, uh, a swing and a hit. I mean, they definitely got Paul Rudd in there. I mean, he's just perfect, Scott Lang, man. That perfect right there. Certainly, Ant Man 1 is the best of the Ant Man trilogy. Definitely. We'll get to my more controversial opinions about the next 2 Ant Man films when we get to those. Captain America: Civil War. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Civil War. I'd say this is hotly contested all the time. Which is better, Civil War or Winter Soldier? Well, I will say Winter Soldier is a little bit better than Avengers. Or yeah, a little bit better than Avengers and a little bit better than Civil War. Both are powerhouse films. All 3 of these in A tier, powerhouse films right here. Maybe I am a little nostalgia baited with the Stanley here and for Iron Man, but ooh, Doctor Strange. Okay, this is gonna be controversial, and I know Caecilius is kind of a weak villain, but the Dormammu have come to bargain meme. I mean, come on, man. I love Doctor Strange 1. Doctor Strange 1 is like one of my favorite MCU films ever. That one's a bit of a hot take, I will say. Uh, like I can't lie, dude. I love Doctor Strange 1. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, definitely the weakest entry in the franchise. It's just all right. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it top of C tier right now. Um, Ego. I would say Ego was a good villain. It got a little goofy with the end fight scene. Um, I don't think that the dynamic between the Guardians was all there in Volume 2. Like, I didn't feel the I didn't feel the characters as much in 2 as I did in uh 1 or 3. But you'll see my opinions on 3 later. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Hmm. Homecoming. Okay. I'm just putting it here for now. I'm still thinking. Okay. Homecoming was like the street level Spider-Man story. Even though Tony Stark was in it, that was his street level film before we probably get another street level film in Brand New Day next year, which means we're probably gonna have 3 Marvel bangers in a row. We had Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and now we're getting Spider-Man. I'm sure we're getting 3 bangers in a row at this point because we've had 2 bangers in a row. I think we're back, safe to say. But we're about to get our 4th Spider-Man, the only live-action Spider-Man to get a 4th film. I'm not gonna lie, I do think Tom Holland is the best live-action Spider-Man. I think that out of all of the Spider-Man, he is the only one with 3 solid movies. and he's also the only one getting another trilogy because those films are so solid and they make so much money and they are enjoyed by fans and critics alike. Spider-Man Homecoming, I will say, is the second best in the home trilogy. I'm going to put it right below Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, which I also think is a great film. I think that's safe to say. Okay. Thor Ragnarok. Dude, there was a time where I would glaze this movie. I thought this was the greatest movie ever fucking made, dude. Okay, Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, I'd have to put that higher than the first Iron Man film. I kind of put like all of the other Thor films somewhere over here. Then Thor Ragnarok is just all the way up here. I love this movie. Taika Waititi did a fucking amazing banger job. We got a Thor and Hulk team up movie against Hela, which introduced a whole bunch of new characters. It introduced the Grandmasters, or no, the Collector's brother, the Grandmaster, who are primordial beings that are almost as old as the universe, which is just crazy that is just like somehow thrown in there. I think that's awesome. I definitely give that one. Yeah, that for at least for now, until I inevitably will find another one that I do think is better than Thor Ragnarok. But Black Panther 1. I put it over here. Black Panther 1, definitely solid. I'll say it's solid for the most part. I think Ant-Man is a little better. See, I'd say maybe Ant-Man is where I start finding some problems in good or great movies. Like anything below that might be the case. The CGI animals were a problem. I think Killmonger's motivations make sense, even though they are clearly well, he's the villain of the movie for a reason. Um, but he is definitely one of the most he has one of the most understandable villain motivations in the MCU. So it will be elevated because of that. Yeah. Overall, the rest of the movie, it's a little blah, but where its strong points are, those strong points are hit and they are hit well, and that is about the praise I can give for Black Panther. It's pretty good film overall. Avengers: Infinity War. I mean, come on. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. Uh, Avengers: Infinity War was just an all-out masterpiece on firing on all cylinders on all fronts. It was that was the culmination of like what, a decade, or like let's do like about 10 or 11 years, I think, of just like story building all up into one point where Thanos would be teased at the end of just other movies, and then they go and make a movie where it's like, they go and make a movie where it's Thanos' story. He wins. He snaps like half the universe away. Like Thanos wins, and we're just left on that. Like people were genuinely fucking shocked. There were like trends going on. Like they're like, this quiz: did Thanos snap you away? Did you survive Thanos? Like that shit was a cultural phenomenon. The snap. Yeah, definitely deserving of the top spot. As far as now, there might be a movie I like more. We'll get to that later. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, yeah. I won't say it's that bad, but yeah, Ghost, really forgettable villain. the villain, it's one of those things where the hero and the villain are looking for the same thing, so, why were they even fighting for the whole movie? It's another one of those fucking plot lines that I don't like at all. It's like, hey, why were we fighting this whole time? We're after the same thing. And then they live happily ever after, and I just think it's stupid. But, it's like the villain had no impact, basically, on the hero's story, and nor did the hero on the villain's story. Like, you basically see nothing get resolved in that entire movie. The only way, the only service Ant-Man and the Wasp actually does for the Infinity Saga set up Scott getting stuck in the quantum realm so that in Avengers Endgame, they can, a rat single-handedly creates the multiverse by allowing Scott to live, which it allows him to come out of the quantum realm, which helps Tony Stark discover time travel, which therefore leads Hulk to kicking a door, which leads to Hulk escaping because he kicked Tony while he had the Tesseract in his hand, disguised as another uniform. So Hulk being angry at Stairs single-handedly caused the multiverse to happen because Loki created the multiverse in Loki season 1 or 2. And I think that's kind of funny. It's unironically technically one of the most important movies, but it's just overshadowed by how bad the movie is. Yeah. I don't like it. Captain Marvel. It's really meh, Yeah. It's just really meh. The villain absolutely sucked. The whatever his name was, Commander. I don't even fucking remember his name. That'll show you how forgettable he is. That I don't even remember the villain's name. I will say, Captain Marvel, with Brie Larson playing her. I mean, that's pretty comic accurate. No, you're not supposed to like Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel isn't a likable character in any sense of the word. Okay, Captain Marvel is just pretty much a shitty person in comics, in any adaptation they've ever been featured in. They're just shitty as fuck. So, props to Marvel for being comic accurate there, but it doesn't translate well to an on-screen movie. To set this movie, because this movie was in between Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, so it was to set up Captain Marvel's in Avengers Endgame at the very end. Did this movie have to happen? Probably not, but it's good to know. It's good to know the story that's there. So it's cool that it's there. Avengers Endgame. Sometimes I could pick either or with Infinity War and Endgame. I think the writing of Infinity War is better, but the conclusion of Endgame makes it overall more satisfying to watch, even though it's 3 fucking hours long. I will say, the conclusion is more satisfying than the writing of Infinity War. Yeah. Yep. Put Endgame over Infinity War just because of its conclusion. It was the greatest battle that the Avengers have ever had of all time. Isn't until Doomsday and Secret Wars come out, and maybe those will be better. I don't know, but we'll have to see if Marvel will stand on business for Doomsday and Secret Wars, which I'm pretty sure they probably will stand on business. Far From Home, the weakest entry in the Homecoming trilogy. Top of C tier right here. Overall, it's a good film. Overall, I'd say it's good. I like the way Mysterio is done in that film. It makes sense. The misinformation spreader using the barf technology from I think it was either Iron Man 2 or 3, where he was going to the MIT um, presentation he was doing there or whatever. He was like hosting it or whatever. But yeah, the barf technology, and then the Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a bunch of scraps. That guy returned for a small scene in that movie. Everybody in that movie was basically an old rival to Tony Stark, and that's how they became Spider-Man's villain. So I definitely understand the gripe with that. Um, I Overall the VFX was spot on. I think it was spot on for that movie. Um, there are definitely questionable choices that like they would make you question. Man, is this really Spider-Man like making character decisions right now? And those do show in the final product of the movie. But overall, it's a good movie. So I'll put it in the top of C tier for now. WandaVision. Okay, so now we're getting to the shows. Yeah, Far From Home was the last thing in Phase 3, even though it takes place after Endgame. This starts Phase 4. WandaVision. Okay, we're ranking shows now. I loved WandaVision, except for the finale. I didn't really care for the finale. It was just like CGI fest. I kind of just didn't get Agatha's villain motivations at the end of the show, and we still haven't seen a White Vision anywhere. I thought that the Ship of Theseus dichotomy they were going with was pretty cool. Between the two visions, and if you reconstruct an old ship with its original planks, or if you refurbish the ship, which one is the original of Theseus? Great dichotomy between the two visions there. That's cool. Oh yeah, I loved the aesthetic they were doing with the time periods between different TV shows that were going on back in the day, and that would gradually get like more modern each episode, which could be like the veil of the Scarlet Witch's hex is fading. That was really fucking cool. That was some great writing. The themes and visual aesthetic of the show was absolutely spot on, and I definitely got to give it that. I'd say it's the second best MCU show we've ever had on Disney Plus. So I'll definitely give it up for that. I'll put it at the. I'll put it in an A tier. I don't give a shit. I'll put it in an A tier. Shit was gas. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to one of the ones I don't really like that much. Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been one movie. Okay, it should have just been a movie. All right. Instead, is like a 4 to 5 hour long, like 6 episode singular movie with bad lighting, like a badly written ending with a character who is literally a terrorist, and it's like you can't call them terrorists, but I don't know if I could say that word on Twitch, but the angry people, who ended up blowing up a nursing home or whatever it was, and then Carly Morgenthau going, well, this is the only language these people understand, and it's like like you tried to write sad villain, but this villain is like morally reprehensible. You can't really make this villain redeemable, and then they don't. I like what they did with U.S. Agent at the end of the show. They're showing that his character growth starts at the end of the show. Like he had a fall from grace, like during the show. Like he had an ego death at the beginning of the show. The same thing with the Iron Man 1 parallel, right? They had that, and then John Walker is probably one of my favorite characters in Thunderbolts. Also, John Walker is just really, really cool. I love him. But yeah, and then they show his character growth. Where he's like, oh, let me not go after the villain. Let me actually save this truck full of innocent people. And you know what? Good on him. He's becoming a better person as it progressed, and that's what it showed. So I will say it was good writing from that perspective, even if it was a bit accidental. But the rest of the show overall, nah, it just wasn't for me. Black Widow, man, Scarlett Johansson got screwed over by Disney Plus on this one, guys. I feel so bad for her. They released this on Disney Plus at the same time as they were showing it in theaters. Like if you pay, actual box office profit, I'm pretty sure is what they actually have to pay Scarlett Johansson, and then they and all of the Disney Plus money doesn't go to her or whatever. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but she was mad about it, and reasonably so. She hasn't been in any other MCU projects since Black Widow, and this was also made to be a backstory movie after her character death had already happened. So that was definitely a bold choice, and there's very questionable CG. Actually, yeah, I probably would put it right here. There's very questionable, maybe no, yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Actually seems about right. Red Guardian is great in the movie. Yelena is great in the movie. The Red Room is like a villainous force throughout the movie. It's pretty cool. A Taskmaster. I mean, you flubbed Taskmaster. I can't even lie. Some of the CG in the movie is like clearly unfinished, like an actual PowerPoint presentation looking ass. But it's just an overall alright movie. It's okay. I said Captain Marvel was okay, but Black Widow is definitely better than Captain Marvel. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Fire, guys. I'm sorry. I remember seeing that shit in theaters. I loved seeing Trevor Slattery again. I actually like what they did with this character after Iron Man 3 with Trevor Slattery. Yeah, he's goofy, but he's a joy to be around. He's great. Love having him. Obviously, Simu Liu killing it in the role of Shang-Chi. And, oh yeah, we saw Abomination after the Incredible Hulk right here after so long. It took so long for us to see Abomination return, and he was fighting Wong, and then Wong had to do that in She-Hulk as a test to become Sorcerer Supreme because Stephen Strange was snapped away in Infinity War, so it happened during that time or whatever, and then Avengers Endgame happened, and then yeah. That's right. I remember. Someone took a video of the event, and then that got released way later, and then that happens in the She-Hulk show. Someone released the footage way later. I forgot. That's how that works in the Marvel continuity. Very, very strange. It can fit semi-neatly into the timeline, but yeah. Hawkeye, garbage show. I think that was not good. Not good. Not good. Not for me. I do not like all what they did with Kingpin in that show. Okay, that was just Hawkeye and Hawkeye Jr. the whole show. Kate Bishop. I mean, Kate Bishop's all right. I excuse me. Seeing Ronin and Swordsman was pretty cool, but they didn't. The Ronin plot kind of ended up going nowhere, and then he kind of just chooses to adopt Kate as Hawkeye Jr. And that kind of just happens, and then they move along. The Christmas aesthetic was all right. The what were they called? The Tracksuit Mafia terrible. These are like Z-lister villains, bro. No, like, come on. No, nobody had ever heard of these guys. Okay, and I still like barely remember their name after watching the show. They were so forgettable. Overall, very forgettable show. Um, but it is important for what happens in Echo, which is important for what happens in Daredevil, Born Again. Like it does connect quite a few projects. So overall, it does establish a lot of connection through the MCU. But yeah, it's weak. Speaking of weak, we got Eternals. Um, for Eternals, yeah. The biggest crime of Eternals is just being a boring movie. It's too long and too boring. Has too many characters. It should have been a Disney Plus show. They didn't have any time to like delve into these characters. They bring up like an Earth-ending plot in a movie where Spider-Man is going to be a later movie. So you already know the plot of the movie is that they're going to stop the world-ending threat from happening. At the end of the movie, there's just a giant god skull in the middle of the Indian Ocean that nobody talks about till She-Hulk. Like where it's just mentioned in a passing internet article. Then it's not mentioned again until Captain America: Brave New World. Like they don't address this giant like skull of a dead god that is in the ocean. I mean, come on, man. They were cooking up way too many ideas of this movie and they ended up getting burnt. Like that's basically what I could say for Eternals. Um, Now the spectacle of Eternals and the I will say some of the effects are pretty good, but some of but some of the VFX are bland too. Like you know, like they're like constructing the weapons out of their hands, like gold weapons out of their hands. It's so bland. Overall, this was not even a movie that needed to be made. Then they had the audacity to use Blade at the end of the movie, which we're not getting into Phase 7, let's be honest, guys. But I think it's shocking that we're getting Blade at all. And then they teased that the Eternals will return, which is just not fucking happening, guys. And then they introduced Star Fox, Thanos' brother, and the bad-looking CG troll played by oh god, what's his name? Patton Oswalt. Patton Oswalt. Yeah, definitely a bunch of bad choices that end up working out. It's making a mostly boring movie. You know, Thor, boring, 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 slightly less boring. Yeah, the movies tend to get more and more boring as you go down here on this. Like from about here to here. Okay, Spider-Man: No Way Home. I'm a Glazer, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I am a No Way Home Glazer. This is a well-known fact about me. In other Marvel Discords I'm in, this is a well-known fact is that I glaze No Way Home like through the fucking roof, dude. This is there was a point where Iron Man was my favorite film. There was a point where Thor Ragnarok was my favorite. There was a point where Infinity War was my favorite, which then became Endgame after I saw Endgame. Gotta say, this one's still my favorite. This brought 3 generations of Spider-Man together and paid off their stories in the perfect way. Alright? Perfect. I'm not gonna say there aren't plot holes in the film, but, you know, most of those plot holes have been explained away like numerous times, but, you know, you also shouldn't have to explain the plot holes away, like, a casual viewer should be able to get it also, you know, that I think that's also an understandable argument to that. But overall, I was definitely happy seeing my 3 Spider-Men together. Seeing those villains get their ending that they deserved. It made me happy. It was the greatest experience I've ever had at a movie theater was December 16th of 2021. Probably one of the best days of my life was going into that movie theater and crying and laughing and cheering and screaming during the reveal of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire being in the movie, because some of us, there was still a chance that they weren't in this movie. Okay, I was still like 50-50 if they were, like, even with all of the evidence pointing to them being in this movie, there was still that little shred of doubt they weren't in there. And because of that, which, by the way, I totally think that Sony leaked the Andrew Garfield scene, like so you had a weblock scene with the blue screen in the background. I totally believe Sony leaked that on purpose. Like, I don't. It was such a highly HD video that had to be like, it had to be filmed by like a professional camera. Like, that had to be. And now I didn't say anything, but they would get in trouble if they were the ones that leaked that, because they took down copyright claimed videos of that video, so they would get in trouble if they ever admitted that they actually leaked that. So they're never gonna actually admit that they leaked that, but we'll never know. We'll never know. It'll always be a mystery. I think they leaked it though. But Moon Knight. Not gonna lie, Moon Knight was actually one of my favorite shows from the MCU. I loved Moon Knight thoroughly. When I saw the tomb of Alexander the Great, I'm like, that is such a mythical, historical pull. You could have. Alexander the Great was the voice of Ammit. Alexander the Great was Ammit's avatar. That is cool as shit. That was like a fucking plot twist right there. And then they played it off with the psychology scenes going on in his head, and I thought that was played out really well. And then the reveal of Jake Lockley at the end, like, guys, there has to be a third personality. There has to be. Then we see the end credit scene of Jake Lockley presumably killing Arthur Harrow, I think his name was. I think that's what his name was. I thought that was awesome. The CG lizard fight at the end of the show, yeah, it was just two kaijus fighting each other. I will concede on that. Who was the girl? I don't remember the girl. But she became a superhero also. She was the voice of the hippo, the hippo god of Egypt. I don't remember, but that was pretty cool. I like that. Multiverse of Madness. I'm a glazer of this movie. What can I say? I actually love Multiverse of Madness. I love the Sam Raimi-ness of it. I remember it going into the movie theater, seeing Reed Richards by John Krasinski. That was really damn cool. I know it's kind of like a Snyder-esque moment of saying like, "Hey, I saw this one thing, which means it's better than any other piece of media ever released because this one character's in it." I know that's very Snyder-esque of me to say, but I was really happy to see Jim Halpert as Reed Richards, and then seeing Patrick Stewart return as Professor Xavier, and the actor for Black Bolt, for Blackadar Boltagun, returning as Black Bolt from the Inhuman show, which also is a garbage show, but I digress. The overall creepiness of Multiverse of Madness, the music fight scene between Sinister Strange and our Prime Doctor Strange was really cool. I liked America Chavez overall. I think her character, I like her personality. She's a fun addition to the universe. I did like the Darkhold taking over Wanda. Is Wanda dead? I have no idea. Maybe she is dead. Maybe she isn't. Who knows? We don't know what really happened at the end of that film. But Zombie Strange, yeah. And the Raimi style filmmaking was cool, and the transitions. Oh, and Scarlet Witch like just poking in out of objects, like being like the most like she was a menace in that movie, man. She was killing people left and right, dude. And then actually kind of seeing her like regain her humanity when she saw how she was scaring her own children from another reality was pretty good. That was a pretty cool parallel right there. I thought that was cool. So Multiverse of Madness, no, I understand. I think this is probably the most divisive Phase 5 movie. With, some fans fucking loving it and others hating it. The film did make $1 billion, so people did. The audience for that movie was there. Okay, I understand that people definitely have differing opinions on this one, but I do love Multiverse of Madness. Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel is actually one of the highest things rated on Rotten Tomatoes for an MCU show, believe it or not. It might even be the highest. I don't remember, but I thought it was okay. I liked. Ooh, the ending was pretty good. Um, Overall, nothing like extremely notable about Miss Marvel. I'd say it's good overall. Yeah, put it about right there, in the middle of B tier. Good film overall. It's good. Okay, Thor: Love and Thunder. We're already getting into controversy right here because I actually think that this is the second best Thor movie. I dislike these first two Thor movies so much. I actually consider Love and Thunder to be better than them. I think Christian Bale Gore is one of the best parts of the movie. He has the best intro of the movie. He has a great ending in the movie as well. I would have actually loved to see some god killing, some god butchering from Gore. I would have actually liked to have seen that. There are some panels in the movie which are like actual comic book panels, like, and like I will applaud that. Like, wow, that was like shot for shot. Like the benevolent god that you see on the ice planet. That is like a shot for shot from the original comic. I thought that was just a really great attention to detail. Um, the movie did kind of play like an SNL skit. It was funny the first time I'd watched it, and then immediately on a rewatch, it just wasn't funny anymore. The screaming goats definitely, yeah, get that shit out of here. Um, Seeing the kids get like superpowers with Zeus's lightning bolt, I actually thought that was pretty cool. Like it was silly, yeah, but I thought it was cool in a Taika Waititi like chaos kind of way. I do think Taika definitely had way too much say in the making of this movie. Uh, Kevin Feige should have reined in Taika a lot more in this movie. I think if it had a more serious tone, centered more around Gore the God Butcher, that would have probably been more palpable. I don't think it would have been better than say like for Ragnarok. I don't even think it would have like it probably would have been a B or A tier film, but yeah, it definitely there's a lot of mistakes in this movie that must be learned from. Um, Overall, I liked the film on my first watch of it, but yeah, that'll be my opinions on Thor: Love and Thunder. She-Hulk Attorney at Law, it's just it's just all right. The middle of it was pretty bad. But the start and finish were were all pretty. I kind of liked the like fifth wall breaking at like the very end. Like wow, but then I kind of thought about it later, and I was like, well, they kind of just wrote away the whole plot they were building up towards, even though they acknowledged it. They kind of just like skipped the whole plot. The Daredevil episode was great. Oh yeah. Oh, and I love the Wong and Abomination episodes too. I actually did like those episodes. Uh, She-Hulk, it was just alright. It's alright. Uh, yeah, there we go. I put it around right there. Werewolf by Night, banger. Um, yeah, banger. Short, sweet banger, right there. Um, Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever, I'd say, yeah. You know what? What? You know what? You know what? You know what? You know what? Yeah. I'll say Age of Ultron is top of C tier. I'll definitely say that. I can concede that because I'm having a little too much in B tier over here. Um, yeah, I think overall that's solid. Okay. Um, yeah, Werewolf by Night, great addition to the supernatural side of the MCU. I loved the filmmaking in it. I think the black and white version is actually better than the color, the in color version. Um, yeah, overall, it had a great story. It wasn't overly like humorous. It was kind of like equal. It was more serious actually. Um, I liked the characters. They were killing ways, and they were kind of brutal for Disney Plus. So I did kind of enjoy that, which we'll talk about in Eyes of Wakanda down here. We'll talk about that also, um, which is a growing theme on Disney Plus, which I am kind of here for. But I'll talk about that later. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I mean, it was great. Okay, but am I rating this as a project or as an entry? Yeah, it was great. Loved it. Very wholesome. Even the Kevin Bacon plot line in there, the reveal of which I'm still totally in the field of that Captain America is actually Star Lord's grandfather theory. I'm still like totally adamant about that theory. But anyway, besides that, it had the reveal of let's see, Mantis being Star Lord's sister. That was a good reveal. It was very sweet, and I loved that. It was a good, it's new, fresh dynamic between the two characters that wasn't there before, and it really added to the story. I thought that was really cool. They still haven't explained how in their books they didn't even explain how Rocket how Nebula gifted Rocket Bucky's arm. That is still not even remotely explained. I still need to know what happened there, but regardless, yeah. Man in the Lost Quantumania, not even the worst Ant Man movie, bro. um, yeah, I'll put it over here. This movie is at least like a fun movie, I'd say. Like the broccoli dude in the quantum realm. That was pretty cool. Seeing Bill Murray play Krylar was pretty cool. Kang was a pretty good part of the movie. He was beaten by ants, but those ants were like technologically advanced giant super ants that created an entire like hyper intelligent civilization, like class 4 civilization or whatever the fuck it was. And Kang was like getting overrun by all of them. So like whilst fighting like Ant-Man at the same time and like three other superheroes, but he also killed a bunch of Avengers. It's kind of lame to like have him be killed off in the very beginning. Like part of me hoped when they were before they pivoted away from Kang was that this would just be a bitch boy Kang, like a little bitch boy, and then they would fight like Shang-Chi 2, the Wreckage of Time, and then they fight a stronger Kang. but I guess that isn't going to come to pass. I'd like to see Jonathan Majors return, maybe in like the beginning of Doomsday or something like that, so that they can like kind of like finish this story or whatever, or have like Kang kill it, or have Doom kill a Kang variant or something like that. I don't know. It was definitely a little disappointing to see Modoc. Oh, Modoc in the film. Um, they did Modoc about as best as they could do Modoc. I think. I see. I think that they should have made Modoc's face look more disgusting and less human-like, because it was just like they kind of like just like stretched his face instead. You know, you know, like I feel like Modoc was never gonna look good with VFX regardless. Like I feel like Modoc is just one of those characters that kind of look too silly to actually be like done well in live action. I I think they did a good job for what they were working with, I guess, with Modoc's look, but I think they could have like made his face look more monster-like or whatever, give him like a more disgusting and disfigured face or something like that. I don't know, like something like kind of like what they did with the leader's look in Brave New World. I actually liked the leader's look in Brave New World more than the comic book version of what it would have looked like. Yeah, and we'll get to that later when I discuss Brave New World over here. Is Brave New World even over here? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I mean, it's no secret that I this movie. Yeah, there we go. All right. It is no secret that I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Um, I mean, it had a pure evil villain. It was also compelling, but you also rooted against for the whole time. That was the only movie like actually like cry for a CGI 3D raccoon, dude. That shit actually made me cry over a VFX raccoon, and for that I gotta give it an S tier, man. The James Gunn was firing on all cylinders on this movie, which this might be his last MCU movie ever, probably because he's the president of DC right now. But it was absolutely a spectacle. Great villains, great plot lines, great character growth and development. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna actually put it above. I'll say I actually like in the present day. I do like this movie more than Iron Man. Um, but yeah, they James Gunn masterpiece. Great job. That was you did it. This is Guardians of the Galaxy Endgame right here. This is perfect. Thank you. Secret Invasion? Oh, you're gonna go to the bottom of the fucking list, buddy. Oh my god. I liked the first two episodes, and then everything immediately after was just fucking dog shit, man. Fuck this goddamn series. It's horrible, dude. Fuck Secret Invasion, bro. Anyway, Loki. I gotta go up here, bro. It's gotta go up here. Loki season 1 and 2 were like Loki has had the best character arc, one of if not the best character arc of any MCU character ever. Um, like he destroys the Loom. In season 2 at the end, he destroys the Loom and then becomes the thing holding the fabric of the multiverse together. He creates the multiverse essentially, which is what allows all of these other projects in the multiverse to happen, like Fantastic Four. He created the multiverse essentially after like centuries or even millennia of studying quantum physics, mechanics, and engineering, uh, like becoming like becoming more powerful than he who remains himself. This is probably one of the most, like, if not the most powerful MCU character ever. It feels totally earned. It feels totally earned the entire time. I love the character dynamics, the dialogue, the jokes. It was very witty. I love the sci-fi feel of it, the themes, there was even one kill in there, or well, I guess it would be quite a few kills that were really brutal when they all get crushed in the cube. Like you could just hear the blood like seeping through grate, the grate under it, and that was just fucking brutal, man. Um, Jonathan Majors as Victor Timely is great in this. Um, oh god, who played Short Round in Indiana Jones? He plays Ouroboros. Uh, is it Hoi Kwan or something? Wait, hold on. Let me look this up. Let me look this up. Let's see. What was his name? Uh, Come on, internet's not working on my phone right now. Is it Ouroboros Loki actor? Let me put that in. Is it like Kim Hoi Kwan or something? I don't remember. Ke Hoi Kwan. Ke Hoi Kwan. Yeah, he is absolutely great in the role as Obi. Gotta give it to him. Also great in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Stellar film about the multiverse. Um, yeah. So I got to give Loki season 1 and 2 up there. I think season 1 had a stronger build to the finale with the finale, and then they had their finale, which was strong. Season 2 finale had a stronger finale with a less strong build up to that finale, even though the finale was even stronger. Overall, it stuck the landing more with me, season 2. Um, but the overall season 1 stuck more, the landing for season 1. Marvel's is, I mean, you know, you know, it's not that good. It's okay. It's nowhere near as bad as everyone was saying it was and review bombing it, but it's not like fucking stellar or anything. I wouldn't say it's good or bad. It's just extremely mediocre, I would say, for any type of Marvel project. Echo. There were some things I liked about Echo. Um, I'll say I like She-Hulk a bit more than Echo. They dropped Echo all at once, and so like it was immediately digestible because I just watched the whole thing in one rip. But overall, it's just it's just okay. You know, not hit, not a miss, just meh. You know, very mid project. Deadpool and Wolverine. Bye, bye, bye. One of the greatest MCU projects they've ever fucking done. This isn't even Glaze, bro. It just is one of the best projects they've ever fucking done. I don't like the being thing that they were doing in it. I think that's something that purely exists in the context of a Deadpool story, which is why I'm okay with it. I don't think it really means much outside of like a Deadpool movie, but overall, I mean, come on, dude. We this was another amazing experience I had in the movie theater. Um, was it July of 2024, July 27th, 2024? I think, yeah, July 27th of 2024 when I went in there, auditorium full of people, everyone cheering and laughing at the funniest fucking jokes in that movie, bro. We loved that movie. And it made $1.4 billion and became the highest grossing rated R movie ever. So, full props to Deadpool and Wolverine. Agatha all along. This was low key kind of a banger. Loki, Loki, kind of a banger, along with Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight's also a banger. Loki, this was kind of a banger. Go watch this one for yourself. Actually, I'm not gonna speak any more on it, but Loki, it is kind of a banger. What if? Yeah, this is a load of dog shit. There's only like three good episodes. There's only like three good episodes in this entire show, bro. The best episode is the what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, and that was like a masterclass in what if should have been. That episode right there with the absolute point in time, and then Doctor Strange becoming the actual devil, like just to try and like save Christine. It was so fucked up, but it was like so good. It was heart wrenching, dude. That episode was like peak. But then the rest of the show and Captain Carter is just so fucking lame, man. Like that Captain Carter shit they forced in at the end of season 2 and the end of season 3 felt so forced, man. Like I didn't want to see Captain Carter anymore because she just became the entire face of the show. Like I just saw too much of Captain Carter and I wanted to see like actual individual stories. But, it's just it kind of just like they didn't play around with it and they weren't experimental enough with it, like as they could have been. And that was really disappointing to see. I'm seeing Storm at the end of season 3 was kind of cool, but other than that, it's just kind of bad. Like the good episodes in it are very far and few between. The Corey episode, that was a good one. That was a fucking great one. I loved that one. There were like the only 2 episodes I really liked in that whole show. Yeah, the Black Panther one. That one was pretty good too. I liked that one. Um, Captain America: Brave New World. I thought it was great. I actually liked the leaders. I liked the take on the leader in this movie done by Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson is his name. That's right. Um, Tim, this was he returned after. Oh God, how many years was it? Like 19, 20 years, 18 to 20 years after he played a role in the end credit scene of The Incredible Hulk, and he finally returned. I thought he was a decent villain. I liked Red Hulk. Um, the acts of the movie did not flow well with each other at all in this movie. That is no secret. Giancarlo Esposito is a great Sidewinder, and I'd love to see more of Sidewinder. Um, Giancarlo Esposito, in any role he plays, he's just going to sound like Gus Fring. He does sound like Gus Fring in this movie. He does sound like it. He was intimidating in this movie, and he was an actual like kind of threat to Captain America. Sam Wilson, Captain America, um, and oh God, what was his name? Something Torres. I don't remember the new Falcon. I don't remember his name, but he was a little bit annoying in the movie. I'll say. Um, overall, overall, yeah, bottom of B tier. Yeah, bottom of B tier is where I place. I thought it was an all right movie overall. They this was a Frankenstein monster abomination of a movie that went through 3 different periods of reshoots and like many, many, many different like early showings and screenings, and they just like went with whatever they could. Like this costed way too much to make, way too long. It was still like the last film in the Bob Chapek era of Marvel, or you want to call him, or Disney Plus really, or if you want to call him Bob Paycheck too. You can call him that too. But yeah, Bob Iger's back. Good, the better Bob, he's back. Um, it went through 3 different periods of reshoots, and part of that was because of real world events, like what's going on in the Middle East right now. Part of the reshoots were actually based off of that. And they couldn't have like accounted for that when they were making it because it kind of surprised everybody. But so I can't really blame them all too much for that specifically. But I think it's a miracle that we were able to get a movie even as good as this. It's a miracle that that movie even got released and that it was even that good when it was released after all the fucking reshoots that happened to it. So I'm a little bit more lenient with this movie than I would normally be. And Harrison Ford as Red Hulk is great. Fight scenes are amazing. Fight scenes are fucking amazing. Can't even lie. When the reveal of adamantium in the movie, great. Love to see it. Bring us X-Men now. Okay. Daredevil Born Again. You can definitely see where the old Daredevil writers were there and where the new ones were brought in, and then those new writers were fired, and then the old ones were brought in again. You can definitely see those. They're very self-evident, especially with things like the bank episode, the very beginning pilot episode, the two ending episodes. It's very obvious, who was working on that and who wasn't working on that. We're getting the old writers and a Punisher special presentation on Disney Plus around February, March, and April. They should be dropping a semi at the same time, but those are probably going to lead into Spider-Man Brand New Day. So I am very excited for that, and I am excited to see more of Daredevil. But it was a little messy in some parts. Can't even lie. Overall, I liked it more than Moon Knight. Overall, I did like it more than Moon Knight. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, that's much better. Much better. Okay. Overall, I liked it more than Moon Knight. Show. It's a good show. Love seeing Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox reprise their roles as Kingpin and Matt Murdock. It's not as good as I would say Daredevil seasons 1 and 3. I didn't like 2 as much, but I loved 1 and 3. Specifically, those were like peak bangers for Daredevil right there. But when I saw Daredevil Born Again episode 1, I saw that intro, my jaw fucking hit the floor, dude. That was one of the hardest fucking drops to an episode ever. That shit was peak. I loved it. Loved episode 1 of Born Again. Oh my god. And I love the imagery they used, like to show New York, like seeing like Kingpin standing above Matt Murdock and then him looking up hopeless, like to stop him at the beginning. That was great. Some great symbolism right there. I loved that. That was good. Okay, Thunderbolts. I mean, come on. I've already glazed this film enough, bro. Come on. Yeah, I'd put it as an A-tier film right here. This was an absolute certified banger right here. I loved it. Like, I can't even lie. Loved it. Ironheart, it was right. It was just okay. There was a plot hole with her being able to destroy Mephisto's cape. Even though she couldn't lasered off the cape, then couldn't destroy it later on. But I actually have a headcanon personal theory. The reason why she was able to destroy the cape is because Mephisto let her destroy the cape, just so that Mephisto could actually track Riri later on, just in case he wanted to corrupt her or make a deal with her, also as a backup plan. Then made it so that she couldn't destroy the cape later. I don't know. It is a plot hole, but I think my theory does help it fit more in character with the character of Mephisto. And come on, Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. You picked fucking Borat. Very nice to play Mephisto. I mean, come on, that's great. Come on, I love that. I do love that. But over loved the heist element of it was pretty good. Seeing Riri uh, finally like seeing her like take punishment was kind of good. You know, she didn't really have her ego killed in the same way that Tony Stark needed to have his ego killed. Like the geniuses of the show, I feel like the geniuses in the MCU, I feel like to be compelling, need like to have their ego destroyed, which makes them more likable and relatable and palatable to the audience, I'd say. And that doesn't really happen so much in Ironheart. Maybe at some points it does actually, because she loses she loses her suit, and then when people start making fun of her in the street, it's like Iron Lassie or whatever they were saying. But yeah, it was okay. Where am I gonna put this? Yeah. Overall, it's I. You know, hold on. I'm gonna put it right here. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Fantastic Four. Whoa, that's way too low. Whoa, what the fuck? That is way too low. Yeah. Fantastic Four. Black. Sorry, spoilers. Spoiler warning. Spoiler, guys. Spoiler. This is really fucking cool. Um, Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom at the end of the movie. I'm so fucking hyped for Doomsday, dude. Excuse me. Can't wait to see what they pull off for Avengers Doomsday. Really fucking excited. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, the plot. Yeah, it's set in an alternate retrofuturistic 1960s reality where technology evolved a little bit differently than ours did in our universe from which we're watching it. But I think it's kind of cool to see like, hey, they developed faster than light travel, but they also don't have iPhones. I think that's really cool. They just developed their technology in different ways than we have. Or that the 616 MCU has, and I love how sci-fi like sci-fi movies and shows can actually like tackle that. I think that's very interesting, and I think it was tackled pretty well here too. Silver Surfer, Shala Ball in the movie, great. I mean, she's one of the best parts of the movie. The black hole scene where she gets time dilated and sucked into the black hole. That was fucking awesome. The dynamic between her and Johnny, I would have liked to actually seen more of, but they actually did kind of have a dynamic in the movie. I thought that was very cool to see. The family dynamic was very strong in this film. You could like clearly see that like this universe was a lived in like universe where all of these people and these are here, and these are the only superheroes here. They have an entire like diplomatic peace treaty with Subterranea that Sue helped secure as the Fantastic Four have become the leaders of the world, or maybe I guess they're the elected leaders of the world. I think that's really cool that they did that as well. Yeah, because this is 4 years after the Fantastic Four has been established and they got their powers from outer space. They said that they were actually going to like skip the origin story, but they only kind of skipped the origin story because they still like showed it somewhat on screen. It was like, hey, this is what happened. I mean, they became the Fantastic Four, and then they did all that, Mole Man, I thought it was going to be really fucking goofy. I mean, he kind of played him straight. Like he wasn't even. Yeah, he was like very comic booky, but and pretty tropey. But um, I thought he was played like pretty straight. He wasn't played like overly goofy or anything like that. He kind of just felt like uh, an elected leader of his people, like trying to negotiate foreign policy with, uh, the above ground world. And I thought that was really cool. I wasn't expecting that at all. And I would also like to see the director's cut of this movie, because a lot of the scenes you see in the trailer aren't actually even in the movie. This is one of the shortest MCU movies, clocking in at 1 hour and 58 minutes. And the end credits scene, the second one, it's a little less necessary, but I like seeing it, and I like seeing that it's a tribute to Jack Kirby, and that the universe number 828 being, was it Jack Kirby's birthday, or what it was? Anyway, it was nice. It was nice seeing that at the at the end of the movie. The thing, Ben Grimm was great. Reed was great. I thought Pedro Pascal can play anything, man. Like, I didn't think he was going to be able to play Reed, but no, he played Reed. He played pretty much the most comic accurate version of Reed I've seen so far. This Fantastic Four film is so far and above better than the other previous incarnations of the live action attempts that they made at making this. And 4 times a charm, they broke the curse. 4 times a charm, guys. So, for them, very happy. We got 2 bangers in a row with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. Hopefully they can continue with Spider-Man Brand New Day, but we have yet to see that. That will be next year in July of 2026. Can't wait for that. Eyes of Wakanda, I binged all of this yesterday. I thought the second episode with Agamemnon and okay, well, first of all, this was just all right. First of all, short, sweet, very short, sweet. This was only 4 episodes long. I'm gonna put it about right here. The episode with Agamemnon and Achilles, that was really good. I actually really liked that. The way that they tied in the 4th episode kind of almost rewrites the rules of time travel, and I don't like that because they're using time travel again. But I think it's close to the way Hulk described time travel. I think because I think their universe was destroyed after they time traveled, but that actually leads up to the events of, like, Killmonger getting the hammer that actually starts off Black Panther, the first film, that starts off Killmonger's motivation, which ends up leading to Wakanda trading with the rest of the world and, like, sharing their resources. I think that was pretty cool. I was not expecting that plot twist at the end. I was expecting literally anything but that. I'm like, but what if they melt it down and that becomes Cap's shield or whatever? No, they actually, like, wrote that in as being, oh, so that's how the movie starts. That's how Black Panther 1 starts. Wow, that's kind of crazy. The 3rd episode had the first Iron Fist, or like one of the Iron Fist that's a passed down mantle. That was really cool. Maybe that makes the Iron Fist canon now. Maybe that's them confirming that. So that's cool. And let's see, episode 1. Oh yeah, the Lion. I thought the Lion was cool as a villain, but it wasn't compelling enough because it was only 1 episode and he died. So yeah, very short, sweet. I wish it had gone on a little bit longer. They kind of expanded on certain plot points, but it was just all right overall. And that's gonna make my tier list for the MCU. Feel free to flame me in the comments. So yeah, peace, guys.